Chub and Steve.
So what was the breaking point? So obviously that Friday I'm hanging out with my friends and my kids are playing with their friends in the front yard. We're all having a great time. And I text Kayla and I said, because she wanted me to build a studio in the house next to them that they have. And she thought that weekend I was going to come build a second studio so that I could stay there longer with her. And maybe she could come over during some of the shows and watch and do that kind of a thing. And I said, she's like, oh, so you're coming to build the studio this weekend. And I said, honey, I don't think I'm coming to build the studio. In fact, I don't think I'm coming back. And she took that really hard. And we started, she started texting emotionally, and so did I. And then Nick came in over the top. You motherfucker, you piece of shit. You led my wife on, which was that's a weird thing to say. And I'm kind of going backwards. I'll go backwards with this story, but then it just became this big, just the ball started rolling downhill. I think Nick was probably on something at the time because it ended with, why don't you fucking do the world a favor and K yourself? But how we got to that.
That sounds like a rational thought.
Yeah, but how we got to that moment, we have to go back. The day before we went out to have dinner with Nick's parents and his children. Nick's parents were watching the children at the time. And April and I were trying to work on our shit, and we were trying to be cordial because, shit on me all you want. I did want to keep spending time with Kayla. And April and I needed to be cordial, and we needed to work on things. And we did say, maybe we rekindle things as, whatever. Who gives a shit? All right. The whole situation was fucked up. April and I went on a little, so we went to dinner. First of all, here's a problem I had. And I don't know, maybe this is just me being a little picky. But Nick's parents had been watching the kids all week, and we'd all been hanging out and doing whatever the fuck we wanted all week while Nick's parents were in town watching his children. Mm-hmm. And then when it came to, it was Kayla's parents, Nick's parents, the kids, and the four of us. And when the tab came, Nick's dad was going to pick up the check. And I grabbed it. I said, no, give it here. I thought Nick should have picked it up. Like, to me, when your parents...
The least you could do is they're watching your kids.
When your
pay
parents,
for dinner.
When your parents watch your children, you buy them dinner. I believe. You do something nice for them. So I picked it up, and I told Nick's dad, I said, thank you so much for watching the kids. Appreciate it, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I just thought that was weird. So we have dinner. And then April and I go on a lakeside beach walk. Not like a romantic one. We were just hanging out, talking. We were just trying to hang out with each other, trying to pick up the pieces and put things back together after all of our fighting and everything. So as April and I are doing that, April had this thing. She had some possessive shit that I think caused a lot of problems between her and Kayla. One of those things was the studio where Nick did his show. I remember one time I was at boxing, and April used to come to the gym with me. And actually, Kayla used to come to the gym. Nick and Kayla would come to the gym on boxing night. Kayla would like to watch me spar. That was a thing that she liked to do, and that was really sweet, and I liked that. But, and I remember one of the like 20, 21-year-old kids that really good middleweight. He was kind of infatuated with Kayla a bit. Like when she would go, I think so-and-so is looking at me when he's boxing. I'm like, yeah, I'm watching. I'm like, he's totally, yeah. He would check out Kayla. It was kind of silly and cute. Like it just,
So you were using her to like bait your opponents. It's like, yeah, look at them titties. Bam. Just
and then you give him a quick check hook and get out of the corner as they're staring at, the beautiful women. So, that Thursday I went, so I'm backing way the fuck up now. This is way before the dinner thing, and I'm jumping around, forgive me. One Thursday I'm boxing, and this is, April had been, more and more into this, the drinking and the party lifestyle and the substances, and she didn't come to the gym with me, which sucked. I hated that. I was sparring. I'm sitting outside the ring. I'm checking my phone, and Nick sent a text that said, hey, guys, don't come over tonight. Kayla wants to spend some time with me in the studio. She wants to hang out with me in the studio during the show. That was April's thing. April felt really possessive of the studio. and I know people are going to hear this and go, that's fucked up. Guys, this whole thing's fucked up. I come home because I know April's going to be fucked up over this. I come home from boxing. Her and I are talking, and she is a wreck. She's like, that is my special place, and she doesn't respect it. She's made him feel like shit about his show, and she shouldn't be there. I should be there, and this, that, and the other thing. Meanwhile, Kayla's texting me about it, and I'm like, honey, go ahead. Like, my thing about the whole deal was, if you and Nick are getting along better, you and I can, we can operate with less eyeballs on us and stuff like that, and that'll be good. That's a positive thing. You guys go ahead and do that. April and I will hang out at home tonight. And I always liked hanging out with April by myself. And most of the time she did too, but she was fucking infuriated on this one. She was upset that Kayla was down in what she considered her studio because she liked to be down there watching the show with Nick. Now, I can see in Johnny's eyes, he's like, this is super fucked up. Guys,
yeah,
let's just assume that every story I'm about to tell you is super fucked up.
I get uncomfortable with people who are like, hey man, let me come over and help you, because like I have a weird wall to mount the flag on, so let me come over and help you mount the flag, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't really want people like coming into this space like just all willy-nilly. If someone who just was like a friend of somebody started treating like, that's my space, I'd be like, well, what the fuck?
So April is really upset about Kayla wanting to be down there with her husband while he does his show. And I was kind of more into the spirit of the exchange, if you will, where I was like, I have this woman and I have this woman. And as long as everyone's happy, this whole situation works better. So that was kind of my take on the whole thing. April's take was, that's my studio. She fucking doesn't give a shit about him and his show. She has made him feel so fucking bad about his show. He tells me about it all the time. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, this is a problem we need to dedicate time to. We all need to stop shitting on each other behind our backs. That's not good. But then again, I was doing it too about my uncomfortability with the drug use and everything. So I wasn't innocent. But this was just so fucked up to me because I'm sitting here counseling my wife about how she feels about her fucking boyfriend and my girlfriend being in a fucking studio together. And
it's a room. It's still going to be there.
And April is just pissed at Nick. She's pissed at Kayla. She's fucking angry at the world. I'm talking to her about it. Finally, it was actually kind of a nice moment for her and I because, I talked her down. She was okay after hours. She was okay. And I remember we had this was one of our last like really sweet moments together. She goes, if this whole thing has to end, I'm so glad that you and I can still do this for each other and can still pick each other up. And I was like, because I was, she had gotten into drugs by that point, and I'd gotten screamed at for like the drug intervention, efforts and everything else. So to hear her say that fucking melted my heart. It made me feel really good. But it was also a fucked up situation that she had a problem with the studio, and that would drive a wedge between her and Kayla. The other thing April got bitter about was if she wasn't the one riding in Nick's Mustang. She had a thing about Nick's Mustang, and that was very telling. And as we were leaving this dinner, now we're going back to the day before I left, the whole situation. After this dinner, April and I are walking, we're skipping rocks, we're talking about life, whatever, and things are getting better. April also starts complaining that she has a sinus infection. April's like, my sinuses really fucking hurt and they're packed in and my nose hurts. And I was at the point now where I didn't talk about drugs anymore. I just didn't because I knew I was going to get my fucking balls cut off if I did. I knew why she was having a sinus infection. It was the same reason why my bathroom garbage was filled with bloody tissues when she blew her nose. I knew the score. But if everyone else is just going to fucking deny it, then I'm not going to fucking bring it up anymore. I was tapped out. I don't
understand why my lungs are all wheezy. What am I doing?
So Nick tells April and I, like, Kayla and I are going to take the couple of the kids in the Mustang back to my parents' house. And I'm like, well, that sounds great. That sounds good. Perfect. April got really, like, fucking visibly shitty about it and walked away from Nick. And Nick's like, ugh, God, Jesus Christ. Whatever. And I take April, I'm going to take April back to the Rekieta's house in the Tahoe. And she's bitching. She's like, I should be in that car and my fucking sinus is hurting. Ow, I just want to go to urgent care. I'm like, honey, I'll take you to urgent care. No, take me to my truck. I'll take myself to urgent care. And I'm like, no, I mean, I can take you. It's okay. I don't think she wanted me to be there when she talked to the doctor and, you know, she had to lie about, you know, why her sinuses hurt and shit. But I take her to her truck. She wants to go by herself. I take her. She's upset about her not getting to ride in the Mustang, which is fucking immature, but the whole situation is fucking crazy. I go back.
I should have got to ride in the Mustang. I'm a fucking cripple.
I go back to the house. Kayla's there. Kayla and I start talking. And her and I start talking about different stuff. And she's like, God, they fight. He's talking about April and Nick. He's like, God, they fight all the time. They're always in some kind of misunderstanding about something. And Kayla and I start talking as to why this is, because Kayla and I don't do that. Like, Kayla and I got along very, very well until, you know, the whole breaking point. I told Kayla, I go, I think the problem is both of those two are hard-headed. And when they start getting in on something, neither of them fucking give up. Whereas you and I get tired and we just go, fine, it's my fault. I'm sorry. And we just back down because we can't fucking handle the horse shit anymore. She goes, yeah, I think that's it. Problem was, we didn't hear Nick walking up behind us as we're talking about this. So we're kind of shitting on those two as Nick comes up behind us. And he goes, I'm right here, you guys. And he goes into the bathroom, and I don't think he went in the bathroom and did drugs. But he was fucked up, and he was obviously very upset. And he and April were arguing and having these problems. And I said, buddy, listen, what I said was this, that, and the other thing. Like, I don't want to be one of those people who's talking behind someone's back. So I just said, well, I'll say it back to him, and I'll tell him what I think the problem is. He was fucking irate. He was upset. He was livid. Kayla and I are then talking, and then Nick starts texting Kayla about what a piece of shit I am and how he can't believe that she would love me so much because of how sneaky and dishonest I was being talking about him that way. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, we were both talking about you guys. You guys threw a hissy fit. Like, we talked about it. And then she's like, oh my God, he's texting me about this, blah, 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 blah. She's like, this is, like, we're fighting. Nick comes upstairs. He and Kayla start fucking screaming at each other. And I'm sitting on the bed with Kayla, and Nick and Kayla are fucking screaming at each other as I'm sitting there. April comes back from the doctor while all this is going on, and she goes, Aaron, what's going on? I hold up my hand. I'm like I'm going to talk, but they're screaming at each other. So I'm like, I'll tell you later. So then April goes off in a huff, and she goes into the bathroom to do God knows what. And I'm just sitting there going, Jesus Christ, what a fucking disaster. So Nick leaves the room. Nick starts texting me about, you know, you and Kayla were making out the other day, and I walked in the room. What were you guys doing? And I was like, well, we were just kissing. We were being silly and playful, and you walked in. We got uncomfortable. We stopped, and we're like, we're being disrespectful. And then Nick started questioning me about all the things we were doing. Have you guys ever done this? Were you guys doing this? When she came into the room the other day and she said this, what did that mean? When she put her prescription pills down, did she set them on your knee, or did she set them higher up on your leg, and this and that? And I'm like, what the fuck? This is insane. And then he's texting Kayla crazy shit about her and I and all this stuff. And finally Kayla goes, this is getting really uncomfortable. Maybe,
it's getting uncomfortable now, guys.
She's like, maybe
we've reached the line.
And her and I decide that maybe things would be diffused if I'm going to head out. And so I left and I went home, and part of me was like, thank fucking God. And then the next day I go, and Nick's like questioning me about all this stuff, and I start answering him honestly. I'm like, dude, I don't remember. I don't know. Like, if we did this, or she touched my leg this way, or if she touched it that way. And he would go, stop fucking lying. And like, as I'm walking by to leave, he's yelling at me. He goes, you need to stop fucking lying and be honest right now. I'm like, dude, you're asking me 15 fucking physically intimate questions. I don't know the answer to them. I don't keep a log of this shit. I'm not keeping score. I don't know. Stop being a fucking liar. I'm not.
Yeah, dude, lowest ratings. CNN lowest ratings since like 97. It's horrible. They're crying over there. They're crying over there.
So yes, and so that was the last day I was ever there, like as a group hangout thing. That was the end of it. It was, I mean, so whose question was that, by the way?
I don't know.
Oh, what was the breaking point that split this up? Was it one incident or what? That was the incident ultimately, but I think you can tell by the way I told that story. There was a lot of run up. There was just a lot of drama. There was a lot of resentment. There was a lot of people keeping score. There were a lot. I will say this about Kayla, and I will say this about myself. I think Kayla and I embodied the spirit of what we were trying to do better than anyone else. But what we were doing was degenerate and awful. I mean, it's like we embodied the spirit of, hey, when I'm with you, I'm with you. When I'm with them, I'm with them.
My line was when you guys took out Jesse Pinkman's girlfriend. That was
when I just let her.
That's too far for me.
I think Nick had his eyes on both. I think Nick would be with April, but he would wonder what Kayla was doing. I think Nick was a notorious kind of like scoreboard watcher and shit like that, and I think that fueled a lot of his paranoia. And it led to a lot of, dissension between he and I a lot of the times. But, yeah, if you're asking me what the last straw was, I don't think it was a last straw. I think it all just kind of built, and that night brought it to a head, and it all went to shit from there. And I'm like, you know what? This has got to be it.